Welcome to Midcap Radar, live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studio. I'm Sonal Bhutra. With me, as always, is Vivek Iyer. The story continues to remain the same. The rupee depreciation, falling markets, broader market weakness, and no respite. It can be seen so far. Yes, there was some recovery, but that was sold into as well. So it remains to be seen whether there is some recovery on the cards or we'll continue to see this fall.
That's right. Good afternoon, Sonal. There was a brief respite that we saw, but that quickly got sold into markets. Once again, continue to witness selling pressure. The market breadth, especially in the broader end of the market, is quite weak. We have a lot lined up on the show, so let's start off with the top headlines. First up, what we're tracking today is stocks see broad-based selling as the rupee weakens, but is off the day's low. Declines, however, far outnumber advances. Some rupee sensitives like ITs gain, while utilities, energy, industrials, and autos slide.
PSU banks slip in trade with shares of Indian Bank and PNB down up to 6% after Finance Ministry in a written reply in the Parliament says that there is no proposal to increase FDI limit in banks to 49%.
Bharat Forge under pressure after reporting a decline in Class 8 truck sales, both on a year-on-year as well as on a month-on-month basis. Total sales in November have fallen 44% YOY.
Angel One slumps on a very weak business update as market share and client acquisition both slip in November. Average daily orders fall over 15% on a YOY basis. Okay, all right, those are the top headlines. But one of the gainers in the broader market has to be Vodafone Idea. It is in focus amid its AGR dues case. Timsi Jaipuria is joining us with the latest on the developments. Timsi, what are you picking up?
Well, that's right. What sources are indicating to us is that the Cabinet Secretary is going to hold a detailed meeting tomorrow around 3 p.m. in the afternoon with Finance Secretaries and Telecom Secretary on the Vodafone AGR matter and trying to come up with an alternative or a package that could be on the radar. But precursor to this tomorrow's meeting, today again, there's going to be an internal meeting in the Finance Ministry where DOT Secretary, that is the Telecom Secretary, is likely to be present, again discussing on the same matter. So today's meeting as a precursor to tomorrow's meeting, let's see what happens finally in these two meetings. Does government come up with a fresh package or a proposal on these dues? Something that we'll have to wait and watch for. But as of now, two power-packed meetings slated in the government.
Well, thank you so much, Timsi, for joining us, and I'm sure you'll keep track of both of these meetings as they unfold. Moving on, this is our special segment, Midcap Movers. Solution is standing by the wall to take us through all of the midcaps that are moving around in the session.
So I'll start with the PSU banks. Whole host of PSU banks are under pressure in today's trade, and there are two reasons to it. 2 days, 2 news. First, government had responded to the query related to the merger. Government said there is no such plan. And second, government has said that they have not approved any proposal related to an increase in FDI limit from 20% to 49%. And tracking both these developments, you are seeing a sharp fall in PSU bank. On top of the list is Indian Bank, which had seen a sharp surge in the last few months. That is down 6%, PNB down 4%, Canada Bank, Bank of India, all these stocks are down in the range of 3 to 5%. Even if you take a look in the Nifty also, SBI is also trading with a cut of almost 2 to 3%. Second, AGR relief. Now, you had heard 2 days ago Telecom Minister talking about that by the end of this month or say by 2025, and there will be an update on Vodafone Idea relief package that Supreme Court had given the ruling last month. Now, today also there is a latest update regarding that. Important secretaries, finance secretaries and other secretaries are meeting today and tomorrow to decide on the same issue. And tracking those developments, you are seeing Vodafone Idea is one of the top mid-cap gainers despite overall market is under pressure. Even Indus Towers is seeing a rub-off impact. Bharti Hexacom too is seeing a rub-off impact. But Telecom Minister had said that this case is only related to Vodafone Idea. Some of the other mid-cap losers, Thyrocare is under pressure, down 6%. And the reason is that promoter has announced that the shares that they have got in the form of bonus, now they are creating pledge on those shares, and tracking that development, the stock has fallen sharply. Wockhardt and HCC are seeing profit booking after a big up move that both these stocks had seen over the last 2 days. And last one is Ola Electric. The same story. This company has been reporting a decline in the sales each month for the last few months considerably. And its market share has fallen sharply. In the month of November, its market share was just 7%. On the back of that, this stock is under pressure as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Sudarshan, for joining us with those mid-caps which are in focus. By the way, something like a Root Mobile is also higher in trade as we speak. Sonata Software is the other one, which is up 5% in trade today. A lot of these IT names doing well. There's Hikal as well, which is up 11% in trade. And Capital India Finance, that stock is surging 10.5% higher there. Aztec Life Sciences, that has been a big mover in last week. And today as well, it is seeing some additional gains come by. So watching out for these names. A big surge in an otherwise weak market is what these stocks are suggesting. Let's get Aditya Agrawala, Head of Research and Investments, Invest for Edu Private Limited. Aditya, good afternoon. Where will this fall continue? Is there any support that that we should be watching out for? What are the charts suggesting?
Good afternoon, Sonal. Thanks for having the show. It's more of a consolidation, I would say, for the markets, not too perturbed by the fact that markets have corrected in last 3 trading sessions. On the downside, 25,900 to about 25,800 is an immediate support zone for the markets. My sense is markets won't break the support zone immediately. On the upside, 26,200, 300 continues to act as a hurdle. For the remaining part of the December month, though it's just the start of this expiry session season for December series, I believe markets will remain in a range bound, and within this range between 26,300 on the upside and 25,800 on the downside, you will see heightened volatility in the markets. Usually that is the order if you take a look at historically every December month, because volumes start thinning as the month progresses, and you see volatility picking up in the month of December. Similar kind of a trend we'll witness this time around as well. On the Nifty at current levels, I think you could be seeing a bit of a short covering rally maybe in later half of the day today or maybe tomorrow from 25,800, 850 good support zones. You can again test levels of 2600 to about 26,100 on the upside. Bank Nifty is something which might just be a little bit under pressure because it has outperformed the Nifty 50. On the downside for Bank Nifty, 58,500, 58,800 continues to act as an immediate support zone. On the upside, 59,500 to about 60,000 will act as a hurdle. So Bank Nifty is something I think will take a bit of a backseat, while Nifty from here on can see a bit of a short covering rally maybe for today and tomorrow.
Well, clearly today the Bank Nifty has been dragging the markets much lower. But Aditya, what are your individual stock picks for the day?
So I've got a couple of buy recommendations for viewers. The first one is KPIT Tech. We are witnessing good buying in the IT space, both in the mid-cap and the large-cap names. And my sense is this will continue for this week and maybe next week as well. So KPIT is looking interesting for a target of 1350 on the upside with a stop loss at 1220 on the downside. The second one is Indus Tower. This is also one stock, Vivek, which has been making higher highs, higher lows. And today in trade, we witnessed a breakout from a consolidation zone. So my sense is this up move is likely to continue in Indus Tower as well. So for a target of 440 on the upside, I recommend a buy in Indus Tower and place a stop loss at 390 on the downside.
All right. Thank you so much for joining in, Aditya, with those individual names and market levels going forward. We'll slip into a break now. When we come back, we'll focus on a whole host of Nifty, PSU Bank and the index and Bharat Forge as well. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Midcap Radar. Well, one sector that clearly is dragging the markets low today is the Nifty PSU space. All of the PSU banks today are under pressure. Ritu joins in with all of the details as to what exactly has kept the street disappointed.
Well, Vivek, you're right. There's been quite a bit of selling pressure in the large public sector bank stocks. You see the Nifty PSU index down by more than 3% on the back of news that the government is not considering, at least at the moment, any increase in the FDI limit for these PSU banks. Now, remember, earlier in October, there were reports that the government could hike the FDI limit for public sector banks, which is currently capped at 20%, all the way to 49% to bring them at par with private sector banks. On the back of that news, we'd seen quite a bit of rally coming in these PSU bank stocks. But now the government has made it very clear in its response to the parliament that no such proposal is on the table at the moment, which means the cap for these PSU banks as far as FDI is concerned remains at 20%. Now, keep in mind the overall FDI limit cap for Indian banks as per the current norms is 74%. But for private sector banks under that, FDI is allowed up to 49%. And you have recent examples where large foreign players have come in the likes of RBL Bank and Yes Bank, which has helped support some of the capital requirements of these banks. But even above that, up to 74% is what is allowed, of course, with the Government of India permission, and RBI, for which you need permission for every incremental 5% stake. So the idea was that public sector banks would be brought on par with private banks, but that does not seem to be the case. What is perhaps also adding to this negative sentiment is the fact that the government also clarified there is no proposal on the table as far as the merger of public sector banks is concerned. Again, that is something that the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman told CNBC-TV18 at the SBI conclave earlier, that work was very much on. There would be consultation with the RBI to consider, merging the existing 12 public sector banks, to reduce or consolidate the sector, create larger entities. But that is also something that the government said is currently not on the table, which means, it is not something that the government is actively considering in the immediate future, which is why, now you're seeing all those hopes of larger FDI coming into PSU banks getting dashed, and the stock seeing some selling pressure. In terms of, the current foreign shareholding in some of these public sector banks, if you pull up the list, Canara Bank, SBI, Bank of Baroda, all of them already have about 11.98 odd percent, foreign shareholding. So there is quite a bit of headroom to even go up to 20%. But remember, there's large public, government shareholding in the first place, and these banks also have to keep in mind that 25% minimum public shareholding norm. So that leaves little headroom to play with. But for now, it looks like all their hopes are dashed. There is no proposal to hike the FDI limit from 20% to 49%, at least for now.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Ritu, for explaining that to us, and explains the move that we are seeing on PSU banks as well. The other stock on our radar is Bharat Forge. It is under pressure on the back of muted November sales data. Sudarshan is back with us. There's some recovery from the lows, Sudarshan, but what did the numbers suggest?
That's right. So while we were talking about that rupee fall can be a positive impact on Bharat Forge, but the latest update is that we have North America Class A truck orders for the industry, in which it suggests that total sales have seen a decline both on a month-on-month and YY. On a monthly basis, decline is of 17%, and on a yearly basis, it's a decline of 44%. And total sales or total orders have come at 20,000 units, which is sharply lower even if you do the average of last 10 months, which comes around 28,910 units. Now, what's the reason for it? Even despite a certain clarity we have got about the tariff over the last few months, fleets have been just not basically declining the trend or replacement or the expansion plans, and that's one of the reasons that industry body believes that this is one of the reasons that we have seen a fall in the Class A truck orders, and because of that we are seeing a fall in the Bharat Forge stock.
That's right. Thank you so much, Sudarshan, for joining us and giving us a sense of what exactly is keeping the stock price of Bharat Forge subdued. Weak or very muted Class A truck orders is what is causing this particular downfall. But we'll now slip into a short break. We'll get you more on the markets and stock-specific action on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Midcap Radar. Well, the broader markets, they are under pressure, but one stock which is an outlier is DOMS Industries. It is gaining in trade, and this is after Antique has initiated coverage on the stock. It was up 5% at a point in time, has come up from the highs, but still it's a 4% gain on that. They've initiated coverage with a buy rating and target price of 3,250. They say that it is positioned for the next leg of growth, and it is poised to grow at a faster clip in the overall consumption category because there's capacity addition, they're looking at distribution expansion as well, and strong innovation pipeline. Company has shown sales performance. Sales growth has been 24% in terms of CAGR for over FY20 to FY25, and it is expected to continue according to Antique going forward as well for the next 3 fiscal. Now, remember, the company is into stationery, pens, paper, something that is used across different segments. They are scaling up their growing categories, be it pen, be it paper, kids, combos as well that you'll see in different distribution centers. They're expanding their presence in adjacent categories, something like bags and and toys. So they are trying to cater to that market, and they are looking at acquisitions as well. They did with Uniqland, which is for baby hygiene, and Super Treads, which is for paper. They are focusing on profitable portfolio expansion, and this is something which could lead to growth going forward. And that is what Antique is very positive about. And hence this initiating coverage, which is on the back of adjacent categories, which could support growth for DOMS going forward.
Well, one of the few outliers as far as the NSE 500 is concerned, one of the few stocks gaining, seeing some gains. Well, the other stock on the radar is actually Biocon. That particular stock, again, another outlier, stock higher by almost 3%. What's going to be important to note as far as Biocon is concerned is that, remember, the management had joined us post the Q2 results, and they told us about the likely merger of the Biocon Biologics business with the parent entity itself. Any development on that is something that the street will keenly watch out for. On the other hand, that will also have a read across as far as Syngene is concerned. Syngene currently trading flat. On the other hand, Ritu did tell us about some of the PSU banking names. One particular stock that we could look at is Indian Bank. Indian Bank, of course, there has been some negative news flow regarding the FDI. But remember, yesterday the NSE had actually gone ahead and given an update regarding the capping of individual weights on the NSE banking index was concerned. Well, the street was anticipating the Indian Bank could enter into NSE banking index, but that hasn't happened. Post which we've seen almost a 10% correction in this particular stock in the last 2 trading sessions. Well, with that, it's all the time we have on this edition of Midcap Radar. Your stocks when we return.